Good morning. It is Wednesday, January 12th, 2022, and coming to you from the Lonely Tree Media Studios in Yakima, Washington, this is the Best Lamb Sports Show. I'm your host, David Lamb. With me is my son, Parker. Say hello, Parker.
Hello, Parker.
Yay. To be awake at 7:30 in the morning.
That's 2 weeks in a row I've been awake at 7:30 in the morning.
They're dedicated, those people. And you, I mean, hats off to you because you're here.
Yes.
So, and not asleep. We are streaming on YouTube. We're on Twitter at Lamb Sports, on Facebook under the Best Lamb Sports Show, and you can send us an email, lambsports@gmail.com. Please check out our webpage, lambsports.com. Everything is lambsports.com. I mean, just figure that out, guys. Or it's lambsports or it's at lambsports, or it's whatever. Anyway, you can find links to the past shows, and the current trivia question is on there. And so the first segment of our show is as always, brought to you by The Range in Yakima. The Range is Central Washington's premier indoor shooting destination. At 34,000 square feet, The Range is an all-inclusive facility offering firearm training, retail sales and supplies, full gunsmithing and repairs, custom builds, and Cerakote services, all under one roof at The Range. Open Tuesday through Saturday, 10 to 7, Sunday, 11 to 5. Go see our friends at The Range, 1701 Garrettson Lane in Yakima. The phone number is 509-571-1449. Make sure you mention the Best Lamb Sports Show. The Range, educate, equip, and empower. So we have things that we're going to talk about today. The NFL, obviously, going to the playoffs. College football national championship was happened.
Yes.
It was a thing. And then we're talking about the rest of some other NFL news and notes, who's been fired because Black Monday came, which is, right after in case you don't know, it's the Monday after the last regular season games that end on Sunday. And so that's when all the coaches who did crappy got fired. Some of them didn't do crappy. They just got fired. Some of them did. Some of them absolutely did. And we'll talk about those guys, and we'll talk about the MVP. NFL MVP is I kind of up for grabs. This might be a 50-50 toss-up maybe. And a couple other news and notes that we want to talk about in sports. But first, college football playoffs, national championship was on Monday. Georgia 33, Alabama 18, in case you didn't see it. It was a much better football game than I thought it would be. And thanks to the fourth quarter, anyway.
Yes.
Because
it was slow.
The first 2.5 quarters were ugly. It was a lot of defense and a lot of mistakes. And it was field goal fest. What was it, 9-6 at the half?
Jeez.
Yeah,
it was all right.
It was ugly. And so 9-6 Alabama at the half ended up being 33-18 Georgia. Georgia defense did well the whole game. The Alabama defense did eventually crack. And yeah, anyway, congratulations to Georgia. First title in 41 years since 1981 and Herschel Walker. Back when it was a voted on thing after the end of the season. Oh, we're going to vote on who's national champion.
Yeah, which, I mean, yeah. SEC schools love to claim their voted on titles.
Yeah. Yeah, those didn't.
It's like, oh, we got 5 national championships before we actually played a national championship game.
Right. Yeah, those games were, back when you could split a national championship. If the voting went the right way. One poll said one thing and one poll says another thing. Anyway. But yeah, so it was a, college football season was interesting. I don't know. Your overall take on college, it kind of ended the way everyone thought it would end anyway.
Yeah, that's the problem, right? I mean, and it's the same thing with the NFL. You have a few teams in college football who are really good, and they seem to be really good every year and just take everything over, and there's not a lot of room for everybody else. And the good teams, the teams that could be good, they aren't. You got Michigans out there who want to talk the talk and then get smoked out in the first round like it's nothing. You got teams like Cincinnati who are like, we deserve a seat at the table. They get a seat at the table, probably have a leg kicked out underneath their chair.
Yeah. They did score, though, against Alabama.
They did score, so that was exciting. Even Michigan scored against Georgia, too, but late.
Yeah.
So
Those games, those semifinal games, were really anticlimactic. Just
they were pretty terrible for all the buzz about a group of five and Michigan's over the hump and nope and nope.
here's my question, I guess, about that. What's up with the timing of national championship and semifinal games? Why are we watching college football playoff semifinals on Friday? Why couldn't it have been on Saturday like college football is? Why did it have to be on Friday? I don't
I
know.
mean,
They had a couple NFL games going on that Saturday, and I get that you don't want to conflict, but you could have scheduled them around each other. That could have been a thing. We could have had a
yeah,
quadruple header all day, 2 NFL football games and 2 college football games, and it would have been great. But they don't do that, and so then the national championship game is always played on a Monday night. Why is it on Monday night? Why can't it be on Saturday when college football gets played? Why do we have to do that? We want it to be special and different and all by itself. I'm like, well, it is because it's after the regular season of the NFL, but any other season it would have been Monday Night Football, right? Would have been
right.
should have been the thing. I don't know.
Could have
I don't
been.
like it. I don't like the scheduling of it. I think it's just play it on Saturday. College football supposed to be played on Saturday. Play the game on Saturday.
Right.
That's when we should decide a national title because there are more people that are off that can see it on Monday at 5 o'clock Pacific time. Who is actually off of work, and can go watch the football game, go home and watch the football game? Not that many people. Yeah, it's 8 o'clock Eastern. You're absolutely right. So everyone on the East Coast gets to see it, right? Unless you're working late.
Yeah. I mean, but being fair, it is an East Coast. It is an East Coast title, right?
Yeah,
It was an East Coast title game. I'm not too upset with if Oregon was playing for the title. I would hope that that game would be scheduled at a time when Oregon viewers could watch it.
yeah,
Unfortunately, if they were playing Alabama, it's going to not be the case. They're going to be scheduled at a time when Bama viewers can watch it, and Oregon viewers will be an afterthought. But let's just say it was Oregon versus USC.
yeah. Then they might.
Yeah, I would hope it would be scheduled, even if it was played in Georgia. I would hope it would be scheduled at a time that Oregon viewers could watch it. It's just, but the latest they could put it is like 8 o'clock.
Yeah, I.
Because eventually you're running into, if I think about
Well,
this all the time. Those games, if they start at like 8 at the latest, you're going to run into like some sort of, in some states, you're going to run into like event like permit times. Like you're only
sure,
allowed to run events so late in most cities.
right.
So
I
that's why
feel
I don't
like
know how Arizona State gets away with playing football at 2 a.m.
I feel like six. Well, that's the only time it's cool. Everyone is out.
That's
Um,
right. No one wakes up until 10 anyways.
yeah, I feel like even like 6 p.m., even 5:30. You know, start the broadcast at 5:30. Just wait a half an hour to start the broadcast. I mean, the game doesn't kick off till like 5:15, but start the broadcast at 5:30 and have it kick off at 5:45. Perfect. Everyone I think would more people would be able to see it. You'd get better ratings, but they don't do it that way because they don't, I guess, feel like we need to see it over here or we want to see the whole game. We only want to record it and watch it later. I don't know. But the East Coast people can't do that. They must watch it live, right? So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what the rationale is or the reason. It's always been that way. So it's in the national championship basketball game is on a Monday. I've never understood that. Why is that on a Monday? Um, I don't know. Anyway, just something to think about.
I'm thinking about it.
Okay, good. So let's talk about NFL football. So Week 18 just happened. It was a real thing, people. Week 18, and in case you didn't catch it, um, the final playoff spots were sealed. Indianapolis helped with that by going down to Jacksonville and losing their seventh straight road football game in Jacksonville. That was ugly. That was about one of the biggest, yeah, upsets. Let's call it an upset. And I mean, Indianapolis just looked bad the whole game. 11 points with the leading
Yeah.
rusher and who gets 77 yards in the game.
Pretty gross.
It was bad. They were just bad. So I mean, Jacksonville was motivated. They came out and played. They could have tanked it
I
and
don't know what they were motivated for though. They should have
right.
tanked it. Like I mean, no wait, did they have the first round, the
They
first pick
they still got
locked
it
up?
because Detroit won.
But see, that's just it. You didn't know Detroit was going to win. So
No,
why were you trying to win?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. It's kudos to them for playing hard.
Unless Detroit is not in a. So the thing you worry about, like you always worry about teams tanking and like are they tanking on purpose and things like that. Maybe Detroit hasn't been tanking on purpose, and that's why they were trying to win and won. and then Jacksonville, but maybe Jacksonville knew that. I don't know, because like Jacksonville, there's no way Jacksonville is walking through the back half of the season after firing Urban Meyer, going, "Yeah, we still are competitive." It's like, no, you're not.
No, no, you're
you,
not.
you want the first round pick, and you want to try and do something good with it.
Right.
And you're gonna take that running back out of Michigan State to replace ETN, who hasn't played a snap.
Cincinnati had, well, let's back up. So Kansas City won at Denver 28-24.
Yeah.
And it helped them, you know, they already sealed up the division, but it basically sealed up the number 1 seed, right? So
For the time, it sealed up their chances, what they could do.
right. And then Dallas scores 51 at Philadelphia. Both teams already in the playoffs, but Dallas was fighting for seeding. Needed to win just in case. Cincinnati laid an egg at Cleveland, right? And I think that was because Kansas City had already clinched that. I think Cincinnati couldn't go any higher. They couldn't move, but they didn't play well anyway. I don't know. And then there's the Detroit beating Green Bay had nothing to play for, right?
Yeah.
Already got the number 1 seed locked down. They lose to Detroit. Aaron Rodgers plays a game, so, you know.
Yeah.
And still, Detroit probably the whole second half against Green Bay's second team still pulled it out by 7. Yeah, I mean, there's that. What else is interesting there? So Pittsburgh made it interesting because they beat Baltimore on the road, 16-13 in overtime. They struggled to do it, but they did it. It's been a struggle all year for Pittsburgh. But they win, and that set up the whole Chargers-Raiders can't end in a tie or the Steelers are out scenario. And what a game that was.
If you're into being super disappointed, then being super excited, then being super disappointed, yeah.
Well, I mean, if you're a Chargers fan, if otherwise you were super disappointed or super excited, super disappointed, super excited.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
If you're a Raiders
everyone
fan,
felt emotions.
There was a lot. There was a big old swing there in about 20 minutes.
Yeah. Raiders fans like, here goes our season.
Yeah.
Chargers fans like, yes, here goes our season.
Right. Arizona had a chance to win the division, right? The NFC West. The Rams lost to San Francisco in overtime. San Francisco sealed a playoff spot with their win, and then Arizona had a chance. They just beat Seattle, right? Well, they couldn't. So
yeah, but this was all happening simultaneously.
Yeah.
So like that's why it's like, well, if one of the games had and I know that the league does this on purpose to avoid dud games, but if one of those games would have happened earlier, then you would have had Arizona probably playing differently or San Francisco playing differently and that sort of stuff. So the Saints were dependent on the Rams to win.
It still begs the question, why don't you start all of the Sunday games at the same time?
You know, and I like that idea because I don't get most of the games anyways.
Right.
Like just on a local channel, you get 3 games and then you get the night game. And you could still do the night game. Like you could have left the Chargers Raiders for the evening. But you could have started everything else at the same time and no one would have cared.
So the problem I have with it is that it's not a big problem, but I mean the fact that everything's set up, that Jacksonville beat Indianapolis, Pittsburgh won, set up that Chargers Raiders game where if they just tie, they both get in. And that's the late game. So they already know that heading into the football game. They shouldn't know that. They shouldn't know. If you know that you have to win to get in, that's different. But if you know that, we can just tie, well, then that begs the collusion argument of, maybe we just all take a knee and we don't play the game. So we're both in. And at the end of the game in overtime, we kind of thought that's what Las Vegas was doing, was playing for the tie, letting the clock run down. I personally think that they were just trying to make sure that Los Angeles didn't get enough time left if they had to kick a field goal. They were doing what we said last week, which is time management. You know, they were actually taking time off the clock to make sure that they didn't, but they weren't even in field goal range yet. They hadn't gotten themselves to that point yet, which is kind of weird. So I don't know exactly the thinking. And the timeout by the Chargers was, I mean, they said it was because they didn't have the right personnel on the field. But yeah, you shouldn't have taken that timeout. I don't care who the personnel is. They just needed to make a play.
If they weren't calling timeout and they had the ball, you don't need to touch that crap.
Right. Not at that point.
Unless you are so defunct, like in your setup right there. But I went back and watched it. They were subbing people off.
Yeah.
Like they had subbed people off that play. So how was your proper personnel not on the field?
I don't know.
You had the time to change them. They have to give it to you.
Yeah, it was weird.
So unless they came out and all of a sudden lined up and you're like, I just don't like it. I can kind of get making the decision, like being like panicky, like, oh crap, this isn't good, this isn't good. Okay, I gotta call timeout. But I just when you're watching it from above and you've got all the angles and you see what the impending tie that's coming, you're like, why did you just do that?
Yeah, what is going on? It seemed weird. All of that seemed weird, and then of course the conspiracy theories just go woo, because everybody's like, what
Yeah.
happened? Why did they do
Did
that?
did the Raiders GM call the Pittsburgh GM and say, how much you got, man?
How much is it worth to you?
How much is it worth to you that I kicked this field goal?
Right. Yeah.
And then he's like, I want Big Ben to go out on top, or something like that.
Is that what he sounds like?
I think so.
All
I
right.
don't even know what the GM sounds like.
All right. I mean, maybe that's what. But it was a good. I mean, it was a fitting ending to the Raiders season. The Raiders season started weird. Like the first 3 games of the year, them in Baltimore were involved in every weird game, and they like played week 1, right? And it was a crazy game.
Yeah.
This is just kind of how the Raiders season went. So it was kind of fitting that this one was
I can't wait
weird
for him to get bonked out in the first round by. Well, see, they play Cincinnati, which isn't the worst draw, because
No.
that's a young rookie team and things like that. But I can't wait for him to get bumped out early in the season, early in the playoffs. It's gonna happen.
You know, the interesting thing about you play all these games during the regular season, and then January comes along and you start playing these playoff games, and now you're going to play in Cincinnati in January.
Yeah.
That's not a great place to be. I mean, weather-wise.
All of a sudden, Vegas is looking a little toasty.
Right? So it would be nice to have a home game, right? Well, not that many, only, 3 or 4 teams get a home game, so.
I don't know if anybody else has been to Cincinnati, but the pollution there is awful, and it's really bad.
Is that a factor,
Well,
you think?
the first time Cassie and my wife took me to see her family, we drove across the river into Cincinnati from Kentucky into Cincinnati, and within like 5 minutes, my whole entire sinus area was super congested.
Yeah.
Like I spent like we were there for 4 days or 5 days, and 3 of the days I spent just blasting Mucinex because I couldn't breathe. It was so bad. So yeah, hopefully Derek Carr has that issue.
It's Covington, Kentucky. That's on
Covington, Kentucky.
That's on the other side from Cincinnati. Yeah, on the other side of the river, and I think that's where the airport is. The Cincinnati airport's actually in Kentucky. So
well, it's no worse than Kansas City, Missouri, and crap like that.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So playoffs are going to start Saturday. So that's your Las Vegas at Cincinnati. That's 1:30 on NBC.
That'll be a good one.
Yeah, that game is more interesting than it looks, and I think all of the AFC games are going to be more interesting than they should be. You would think playoff games, only the 5 and 4 seeds would be those really close ones, but no, some of these games are going to be interesting. New England plays at Buffalo at 5:15 on CBS. They've already played twice. This is the rubber match. So
I wonder what the weather's going to be like in Buffalo.
I don't know. That's a great question. I'm going to go with cold, but I could be wrong.
Cold with a side of chili.
Sunday's games: Philadelphia at Tampa Bay, 10 a.m. on Fox, and you get to see all 3. You get to see 3 games again on Sunday. San Francisco at Dallas. That's going to be an interesting game. San Francisco can win on the road. That's a good. That's a dangerous.
Their defense is much better than
Yeah.
than they seem like they
Right.
are.
And
But that's still like they're like a 10-win team.
But yeah, and Dallas has been hot, 50-something points the last 2 games, right? And they've been blowing teams out now. So I don't know if their offense is finally getting running, and maybe they've all figured it out. But they're going to go and play a San Francisco team that is really good defensively. And then there's Pittsburgh, 5:15 on NBC on Sunday. Pittsburgh at Kansas City in Arrowhead. I don't know what to think about Pittsburgh. I can't tell you that they won't win. You know what I mean? I would put money on Kansas City, but I cannot tell you that it's 100% because you don't know what you're going to get out of Pittsburgh. So, Mike Tomlin's been here before, right?
Would it be like a conspiracy theory to say that the NFL wants Big Ben to go out on top,
right? And that may have been the call
into the playoffs.
That may have been the call in the Raiders Chargers game. The NFL called down and said, "Hey,
down?
you need to win this because if this is a tie, Ben's going to be out. We don't want that to happen because he deserves
Do
to
you
play a
think
playoff
Roger
game.
Goodell knows how to use a phone?
Well, it wouldn't be him. It'd be an assistant.
I was just gonna say I've never seen a picture of Roger Goodell on the phone.
It would be an assistant.
Like
It
I've
wouldn't
seen
have been
pictures
him.
of the president on the phone, sitting at his desk and whatnot, but I've never seen a
But
picture of Roger Goodell on the phone.
but was he actually using it? That's the question.
No, it was for the picture.
Right. Yeah.
The only time I think that somebody was using the phone, there's like a famous picture of a little side tangent here, famous picture of Barack Obama where he's got his feet kicked up on his desk and
Yeah.
his shirt's rolled up at his sleeves and his tie's half undone and he's on the phone. And I like to think he's ordering pizza.
Yeah. Probably. Right. You ever see? It's funny because you ever see The American President? You ever watch that? It's like Michael Douglas and
I know the movie you're
Annette
talking
Bening.
about, and I think I saw it once a long time ago.
He tries to order flowers from a flower shop to send her flowers because
I
he's a
don't
single
believe him.
he's a single president. Well, yeah. First of all, they hang up on him when he says who he is, right?
Why
And
would you say who you are?
Well, he said he was the president. This
You
is
don't have, but you don't have to say that.
and they hung up on him, and then he couldn't find his credit card. Why? He's never had to pay for anything since he's been president. Like he didn't have it. He had to go ask his secretary.
I could see being more realistic.
Right. He had to go ask his secretary, where's my credit cards? Anyway, I thought it was funny.
Do you think Barack Obama said like, what name do you want? He's like, put it under Barry. I'll be there to pick it up in 15.
The big BO. I don't think he goes by that. Anyway,
I hope not.
It's an affectionate term. So also Monday, the last playoff game for the and by the way, this is super wild card weekend. When did it become super wild card weekend?
Was it last year when they added the extra playoff team?
Yeah, that made it super.
Yeah, so it became last year. Yeah.
What about super divisional playoff weekend? Why is it not super
it's
anymore?
okay.
Because we got rid of teams and eliminated them. Now it's no longer super. I don't understand why this one is super.
Less super.
Super Bowl, super wild card weekend, but the
Yeah,
championship and the divisional round are not super.
Yeah,
So
but
just
those have always been called that.
But you
and
got
wild card weekend. There's still a wild card weekend, just a super wild card weekend. Because there's more.
The branding of it it seems weird to me. Anyway, Arizona and the Rams in round 3 from SoFi at 5:15 on Monday night. That's Monday Night Football Crew, ESPN, ABC. Anyway, those will be good games. I mean, I think all of those games you can't point and say this team's going to win. Kansas City would be the biggest one, and I feel like Tampa can beat Philadelphia fairly easily. But that depends on which team shows up and which player quits in mid-game and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I mean, that's a possibility in Tampa, right?
It's a possibility, that's for sure.
I don't know. It'll be interesting. So, yeah. And at Kansas City, Pittsburgh at Kansas City, 2 cold weather teams, right? Playing in Kansas City where it's usually cold in January. So that'll be interesting. You could see a lot of good snow football. It's possible.
So I hope so.
Right.
I want snow football. Snow football is the best football.
I like the snow football. I'm not gonna lie.
That's why I'm excited for Philly to be hosting or to be in a playoff game and stuff, like be in playoff games, and for Buffalo to be in playoff games and things like that. You get snow opportunities.
Snow opportunities.
Snow opportunities.
It doesn't sound
right.
right.
I go with snot opportunities.
I don't know because you're.
It sounds as good.
It sounds a little runny. So Stave and Stone trivia question is about what we're going to talk about next.
Okay.
Which is still NFL. Here's the question. 5 NFL coaches this is in the history of the NFL, have been fired at some point in their careers and later went on to coach a team that won the Super Bowl.
Okay.
There's been 5 of them.
Okay.
So it's a story of redemption. We were bad, got fired, found another team, took them to the Super Bowl.
It's 5 coaches, not 5 instances.
No, there are 5 separate coaches have each done it.
Okay.
I want you to name 4 of them because it should be fairly easy when you think about it. If you think about it, we've only had 50-something Super Bowls, so it's not that many choices.
Okay.
But anyway, there you go. That's the trivia question. I want you to name 4 of the 5 that have been fired from an NFL head coaching job and later went on to coach a team to the Super Bowl.
Okay.
So there you go.
I can do that.
Okay, good. Second segment of the show is brought to you by Boss Kitty Hand-Dyed Yarns. I don't even have the ad thing up anymore. I don't have the... Anyway, just going to say Be sure to tune in to BossKittyLive.com at 6 p.m. And I have this at 6 p.m. every Monday, and I'm not even sure that's true. I think they have a show every day. Just go to BossKittyLive.com and you'll see the schedule. It's there. It's free. Knit-alongs, exclusive sales, games, fun. You can meet and make new fiber friends. You can go on the BossKittyShop.com website and get your DK and fingering weight yarns, as well as stitch and progress markers. If you're looking for a gift, you get them a Boss Kitty Shop virtual gift card and let them pick it out themselves. That's Boss Kitty hand-dyed yarns. Yarn so boss you'll knit your pants. And we're gonna have to have Kurt back on, Tech Kitty, to come back on here at some point in time and just do the ad. I need to get
We
him
can do
to.
that.
Need to get him to just record one, and send it to me, and we'll just play it like a real advertisement. I mean,
That's
like,
true. That would be actually kind of fun. Yeah.
yeah, like it's an actual show here or something. Yeah.
I think it's a good idea.
I know. So in case you guys haven't seen Parker in a while, we did picture in picture. So
Hey, here I am.
right. So NFL head coaches, speaking of firing, that have been ousted so far this year, include John Gruden, which was earlier, right? Because of the whole, he was the distraction from the Washington football team.
Yeah, he was
he was the sacrificial lamb there.
That's right.
Urban Meyer, right, who was fired from Jacksonville because he's an idiot, basically. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think idiot not too strong a term.
I don't think so. No, I think that's fair.
Okay. And then at the end of the season, we've had 4 so far. Vic Fangio for the Broncos got fired.
Right.
For your Broncos, he got fired, and you probably say it's about time.
Yeah, I love Vic Fangio's defenses. They've been fantastic. They were top 10 this year. Like they're great defenses. He just does not have an offensive mind, or he's not capable of hiring an offensive mind. And that's frustrating. So
that might be. Mike Zimmer was fired, and his general manager also for the Vikings. Mike Zimmer has been a fixture there, in Minnesota, and I thought he was better than, I don't know. I think I'm not sure Minnesota could have done a lot better. That's all I'm saying with the team that they had. I'm not sure that you're gonna, even another coach, I'm not sure that gives you much more of a chance than he gave you, and he put you in a position to win, and you had winning seasons. But that's not enough anymore for anybody. So, and he has a winning record as coach of the Vikings. He's the only one of the 4 that got fired on Black Monday that had a winning record. So,
yeah, I'm just not sure how you justify it.
Right.
I don't quite get it. So
I don't either. I guess it's just a matter of you got to win a championship. I mean, at least get to the NFC championship, which they haven't done. So they were close, and didn't they make it to the NFC championship one year recently? Anyway, I don't know. Also, Brian Flores, the Miami Dolphins, who was 24 and 23, 24, 23 and 25. No, it's 24 and 25 because they played an extra game this year. 24 and 25 as head coach of the Dolphins. And this year, last 2 years, they've won 10 and 9 games. And that's pretty good for
not bad.
2 of the 3 years. Because the first year was what, 6 wins or 5 wins, 6 wins. So they've gone up, and they're in a position, put themselves in a position to be in the playoffs. And you gave him 3 years and said, now you're done. And so he's going to coach somewhere else. Someone's going to pick him up because there's going to be an opening. I mean, obviously there are other openings right now. I feel like it's a bad decision to get rid of a coach who's put you in a position to do well. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not. There were a couple firings this year, and that was one of them that where it's just like, I'm not sure what you guys are doing. What do you think you're getting out of this?
Right.
Like if you think you're improving a lot or something, because this doesn't track.
Right. Yeah. And then Matt Nagy, the Chicago Bears head coach, also fired, and probably right. But I think the Bears have been a personnel issue for a little while. That's not necessarily a head coaching issue. We don't have all the pieces that we need. We think we do, but we don't. and it's evident when they play. So the quarterback situation was a fiasco. Should have just started Justin Fields, I think, all year long and let him develop. There are not
Yeah.
many instances where I say that, but I say that when a quarterback, I'm a proponent of he should hold a clipboard for a season and learn from whoever's there. But if the guy in front of him is not any good, what are you learning?
You're
So
not learning
yeah,
anything.
so if there's nobody there to mentor you, then get out there and on the field and earn it the hard way. You know what I mean? Learn the hard way. Um,
It's true.
not many guys can actually do that and excel at it. But Justin Fields should have been the quarterback. He should have had more experience than he had, and then he ended up being out. And Nick Foles played quarterback for him this year. So
Yeah, I didn't understand their quarterback room. You bring in Andy Dalton, you tell him he's the guy, and then you draft Justin Fields, and then you bring in Nick Foles.
right,
And I didn't quite understand what they were getting at here. Ultimately, it proved to be a great idea because everyone kept getting hurt. But I don't know. That might be the softest locker room I've ever seen.
it may be, it may be.
They had
Um,
issues.
they did. They had issues. Let's talk about so Pete Carroll,
Pete
is
Carroll.
he going to get fired? Is he going to stay in Seattle? Your
I
opinion?
think it'll depend on what Russ does. If Russ leaves, then Seattle might just say this is a good opportunity to clean the slate here and start something new and rebuild, whatever, and they'll fire Ken Norton and they'll fire him. So maybe if Russ leaves, if they can't mend that thing. But I don't know. Russ was talking at the end of the season. I mean, he's saying what he's supposed to say, but he was talking at the end of the season like he was going to stay.
Yeah.
Like he not only was he going to stay, that's what he wanted to do.
Will it be up to him though? I mean, in
So
the end,
if
you can say you
if the
can
team ships him
yes,
for some picks, I don't know what they're gonna get. I mean, they'll get a couple good picks out of him, but they're not gonna get 3 first rounders like I think the rumor was that they wanted. They might get 2 first rounders for him.
Hmm.
I don't know. And I mean, I guess Philly's got 2 first rounders to give, but they've got a great quarterback, so they're doing okay.
I'm gonna tell you who could use him, and just
Denver Broncos.
well, yeah. I mean, there's one, the Miami
Well,
Dolphins.
I don't know. They played pretty good this year with
Yeah,
their weird
Tu-
mishmash situation that they had.
Tua is not the long term answer to that dilemma.
I don't know if you
He's
can.
taking you as high as you're gonna go with Tua at quarterback.
I don't. Well, I don't know if you can. I don't know if you can say that
I just
because,
did.
and it's not. Well, let me phrase that. I don't know if you can actually mean that. I know that you want to mean that, but I mean that I don't think that there's no way to accurately predict that based on 2 seasons. The best thing you could say is 2 is not the long term solution because he'll probably have an injury issue at some point. That's fair. But in terms of like saying he's capped, I mean, in every game he played this year, he did pretty darn good. I mean,
Yeah.
especially with a coaching staff that was so willing to bench him. I mean, his first game out, he was, this season he threw for just under 60%. That's not great. And then in his second game, he got hurt. But in any game that he played from start to finish, he was slinging. He had like 4 or 5 games over 70% completion rating. Like he did pretty darn well for what they were asking of him. I think he
Yeah.
needs a couple more seasons before you start looking to replace him.
Yeah.
And there's no great quarterbacks coming out this year, and you're going to bring Russell Wilson into a new. I don't think Russell Wilson's going to want to go to a place. He has a no trade clause, so he has to agree to wherever he's going. Do you want to go to a place that just fired their head coach for what seems like no reason?
It
I think that would
depends.
be a stretch for him to end up there. I mean, the money won't change because it's going to be through a trade.
Right.
So he's got to want to be in a good situation. That organization has been mismanaged for the past decade plus.
Right.
So, and in this Brian Flores firing was another example of that.
We forgot about Joe Judge, the New York Giants
Oh,
head coach. He got fired too. So
yeah, the day after they said that he was going to stay the coach.
yeah, that's that's good.
Came on a press conference and like, yeah, Joe Judge will be our coach next year. And
Yeah.
then they fired.
Them-
Liars.
well, he was the head coach in 2022 for a little bit.
He got
He's-
off
he
like
made
5 days.
he made it into the 2022 year
I don't even know if
calendar
he's
year.
back from vacation yet.
Yeah, probably not. He probably didn't. He probably had to go find him
There's
on a
Do
beach
you ever
somewhere.
see the movie Friday?
Yeah.
with Ice Cube and
Yeah.
they're like, you get fired on your day off, man.
Yeah. That's not. Whew. Uh, anyway. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean I don't know about Pete Carroll and his situation. I don't know how he fits in. And you're right. If Russell Wilson decides he wants to leave and they trade him, that's probably a good enough opportunity to start over. And just
Yeah.
you Rashad Penny turned out to be a pretty good pickup, right? When in the draft, he's a good running
Yeah,
back.
he was.
So when the team is healthy and they're running well, he is a good. I mean, he's going to be one of the better running backs in the league. So and you saw the last couple games, Seattle played great. So I don't know. Maybe they just take a
Yeah.
chance and everybody stays and one more season, see what happens.
I just don't. You can't trust Rashad Penny. I mean, in his time here, he played in 14 games the first year, 10 games the second year, 3 games the third year, and 10 games in the fourth year. He's not been able to produce a single whole season in 4 years of football.
I hear you.
That's you're not going to put stock in that. And yeah, he had a fantastic little run here, mostly against underdeveloped teams, and then once against Arizona. But yeah, I'm gonna need to see a full season out of him one full season.
Okay.
In half a decade, I need one full season.
Okay. That's fair enough. I'm just, I'm saying that once he got himself, after December 5th, he became the guy.
He seemed to get it right all of a sudden.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it was him or if it was the team. That's the question. Was it the team that decided, oh, we're going to commit to running the football? And then about that time, Russell Wilson comes back, right?
Yeah.
So that was helpful because otherwise you didn't respect, Geno Smith. You're not going to respect him as a passer. You're not going to say he's going to beat us with his arm. So you're going to load up to stop the run, and that's what they did. That's what every team did.
Right.
While Wilson was out. So once he comes back, it's a whole nother thing. The thing you don't see with Rashad Penny is he doesn't catch very many passes. So
yeah, he's not a big receiving back, is he?
No, that's a Travis Homer thing. They bring him in on third down.
I do like Travis Homer, but for that purpose.
As a third down.
So I don't think I don't think he's a very good running back, but he's a great receiver. So I never understood that. Why not just put a receiver in the backfield?
Because then it's coming. He at
cares?
least gives the appearance that he could run the football.
I know, but just put a DeAnthony Thomas back there and tell that linebacker to cover him.
That's an excellent point. That's my personal strategy. But hey,
like why? Yeah, like they've done it before. The Chiefs have done it with Tyreek Hill in the backfield.
Yeah, but
and ask the linebacker to cover you because he ain't.
No, is not. You can't cover him with a linebacker.
Yeah, right.
For sure. Well, for about 5 yards.
For about 5 yards, yeah. He'll track him for a little bit, and then he'll probably put the moves on him.
Yeah, for sure. Anyway, it's interesting. Let's talk about. You know what? I don't know what I want to talk about yet. Let me see what happens when I do this. Let's talk about the NFL MVP.
NFL MVP, gotcha.
Who wins it this year? If you had to vote, you get a vote. Okay, give me your winner. Who's gonna win? Who would you pick as number one? Who is the NFL MVP this year?
Oh, Mr. Doublecheck, Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah,
the guy. He's led a team of what's it called? Frozen tundra nomads to the number one seed.
Okay.
Yeah, they're fantastic. I mean, they're fantastic because of him. I think you can give all the credit you want to Devontae Adams and what's it called? So it's funny because I think about this all the time. It's like, okay, Devontae Adams is a top 10 receiver. He's probably a top 5 receiver in this league. When you think about guys you want, he's probably very, very, very high on your list.
Yeah.
But Jones, the running back, everyone's like, oh, he's a great running back, and I'm like, all right, so you have any pick of the running backs in the league, who are you taking? Well, we're taking Zeke first, and we're taking Chubb first, and we're taking a couple other guys first, and then we're going to get to him eventually. He might be top 10, but he's a low top 10 running back. But he still produces pretty well for what he does. And then, but yeah, I mean, that roster's mostly guys that, I mean, Valdez Scantling.
Yeah.
We're talking about Valdez Scantling and Tanyan, the tight end. Like, who are these people?
I think Tanyan was hurt most of the season, but yeah.
Who are these people?
Yeah. He's got a St. Brown. He's got a St. Brown on his team though. So
he does have a St. Brown. Yeah. I did see the jersey exchange between the two St. Browns at the end of the Lions Packers game. I thought that was really cool, and
That's
also
funny.
the dad was wearing the jersey that was
Half and half.
it was Packers in the middle,
Yeah.
Lions on the sleeves and on the back.
Yeah.
It was really
That
interesting.
was cool. Yeah.
But yeah, Aaron Rodgers has got it in my book.
Okay. And I would if he wins, that's fine too. I would probably statistically I would give it to Tom Brady.
Sure.
I think statistically speaking, that's a better he has the numbers that match most of the MVPs from prior years. He's got
Sure.
if not better. And he did it on a team that had a lot of injuries too. I mean, his wide receiver core there the last 4 games is what? Super suspect.
Long after their playoff hopes were already locked in.
It's true, but I mean, you're still trying to win games and get seeding. It's not like you're not trying to win those games, and it makes it harder.
And they definitely didn't win all those games.
They definitely lost to New Orleans.
They lost
but
to New Orleans twice this year.
That was in the heart of COVID. That was the heart of the COVID in the NFL. That was that week where I think no one played. So
yeah,
it was interesting. That was an interesting game. Kind of an aberration, but everybody has those games. I mean, Aaron Rodgers, which we think that in the first game of the season he was laying an egg on purpose, but he still laid an egg, and they lost. He looked not good, and the team looked terrible. So I don't know.
Came out and he played 28 attempts, 15 snaps. He played just a little bit of that game.
Yeah,
threw 2 picks, and then they benched him.
Yeah, the game was well over early. So,
right.
But yeah, interesting. So. What Aaron Rodgers?
So
go ahead.
The thing that kills me about it is that Tom Brady threw 188 more passes.
He did.
Than Aaron Rodgers.
He
threw it substantially more. So those numbers that you're talking about, they're inflated by the fact that he throws 40 plus times a game. Aaron Rodgers only one time went above 40 pass attempts.
That's their offense.
And he still won more games.
It's their offense. What I'm saying they won the same number.
The numbers from Tom. The numbers that Tom Brady. Well, no, they didn't because Aaron Rodgers sat a game.
Well,
Tom Brady lost
one more game.
More games, right?
We lost one more game. Yeah.
Well, no, not record wise. So I'm not going to count a loss to Rodgers for a game he didn't play in.
Oh, I see what you're trying to do.
That's what I mean, right?
Okay.
Like, so we talked a little bit off air yesterday that in 3 losses that he was a part of, he only played. Would it end up being 5 quarters or something like that?
Okay.
So, I mean, he didn't even play full games in most of those losses except for one.
Okay.
One of those games. He was out there for the whole thing. He's only really got 1 loss fully attributed to him, although the New Orleans debacle at the beginning of the season, that was just weird. But he doesn't need to throw the ball to win games as much. The team doesn't need to. And you say they squeak out wins and things like that. But Tom Brady has to throw the ball to win games. So his stats are inflated by the team's need and their offensive style. I'm not going to give him extra credit just because that's the way that they have to play to win. I'm going to give Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers credit for being able to throw the ball less and still win.
When was the last time you saw a quarterback win an MVP and he had 0 pass attempts?
I don't think it's ever happened.
But he could be the best quarterback in the NFL. He might be the best player in the NFL. He might be the MVP. Maybe he never fumbles a snap. He always puts the ball where it's supposed to be. He's the best handoff guy in the world, and they win all their games.
I'm gonna go with 1936.
Maybe before the pass was invented. But
that's right.
People
knew they could do that.
My point is that the numbers doesn't matter how you get them. You get them, right? There's only been one guy or 2 that have thrown for more yards in a season than this guy, and we didn't fault them when they named Peyton Manning MVP. We're not going to fault that. But that was their system. They threw the ball. That's what Tom Brady does, and he plays in that same system. If you're comparing him against Aaron Rodgers for that purpose, that's fine. But I would just tell you that we never compared those other guys the same way and say, oh, well, this guy didn't have to throw it as much. He's just as good. Well, no, because this guy threw for 5,500 yards and however many touchdowns. That's an MVP season, and you're going to get the MVP vote. I'm just saying. I'm not saying necessarily that I would vote for Tom Brady. I'm saying that he's going to win based on the numbers. And
I think if you base it solely on the numbers, yes, he will win. Also, if you think your league's going to conspire to keep Aaron Rodgers unvaccinated self.
That's what I was going to say, too. He didn't do himself any favors in the middle of the season. He didn't win any votes, MVP votes.
Yeah.
So
there's
that.
But good news for that is that I think eye test wise, Aaron Rodgers wins it hand down. I think if you're not thinking about if you're not hung up too much on the wild numbers and you can everyone can pull their eyes off of Tom Brady's age for 5 seconds. I mean it was impressive at 44. 45 is not that much different than 44. 44 is not that much different than 43. It's impressive they did it at 45 compared to 35, but it's not impressive that he did it at 45 compared to 44. He had another great season at 45.
Okay.
Less than a year
Do
later.
do you
Whoop-de-doo.
do you think Aaron Rodgers' numbers will be the same in 7 years?
Hard to say. They're trending upward.
Okay.
So it
Yeah.
stands to reason. I
I,
mean, he hasn't had as many consistently good seasons, but I think that he's had a little. I would say Mike McCarthy wasn't as great of a coach back in the day, so I think Aaron Rodgers was kind of pulling that team along at a couple different points, and he had some injury seasons and things like that in his time, but he's trending in the right direction the last couple years.
okay. Aaron Rodgers, I will give him this, is probably the best quarterback I've ever seen at not losing the football. If you want a ball control guy, he doesn't turn the ball. 4 interceptions this year in 531 attempts. It's ridiculous. So he did that last year too. He's that way. That's just how he is. He's really smart with the football. And part of that is, and let's be honest, he and Tom Brady benefit from those rules that are it's intentional grounding, but it's okay. We aren't going to call that. We don't call that intentional grounding. We changed the rules to make it so that we don't want you to actually play football. We don't want you to get hit. So if we let you throw the ball away or throw it at someone's feet or whatever, I really don't like that. And if you watch the national championship game, how does a guy get called for intentional grounding, throwing the ball 30 yards past the receiver? Well, yeah, 30 yards past his receiver. The receiver stops.
The ball goes. An interesting call.
And I'm like, wait a minute. You can't call intentional grounding. I mean, then that's every pass that goes out of the end zone. Every pass that you throw up into the stands is intentional grounding. But they don't call that.
See, I've always been of the belief that the only way you should be allowed to throw the ball, like I don't think intentional grounding. I think it should always be a penalty if you're throwing the ball out of bounds and it's not obvious that it was trying to be caught by somebody.
Right.
Like if have the receivers know when you're not throwing it to them and things like that. But so what he did, I actually thought was a perfect thing to do. Like within the framework of the way I think the rules should be structured, which is put the ball in bounds past the line of scrimmage. That's where it has to go. Like it doesn't matter where it goes past that. So I was actually perfectly cool with it, but I didn't get how they threw that flag. That was a little confusing.
Yeah, it was weird.
But
all right. Well, I guess we'll see. Jonathan Taylor's the other one that's probably going to get votes. I still think Cooper Kupp's going to get a vote or two, just because of the season that he had. If I had to put money on it, who was going to win, based on what I know, I would say Tom Brady. Who should win? Probably Aaron Rodgers, but I think he hurt himself with the COVID thing. I think it's just hurt. It's an appearance thing. It has nothing to do with his thing, but you got people that vote for this. It's not a computer that spits out the winner. So they're going to take that into account. And when you start calling journalists bums,
love it.
That may not be great for your chances to win voting things. That's all.
Well, journalists are bums,
and they might be. I mean,
let's face it,
because we are one.
Journalists. Well, let's face it, journalists very often are allowed to fire shots at players without any repercussions. It's nice every once in a while to see somebody, every once in a while, and he didn't do it in like a crazy, expletive-filled range.
No.
He did call him a bum, which is a little harsh, but bum's such an interesting term because I feel like to some people that's very offensive, and to other people they know that it's just like, you're a bum. Doesn't mean New York and Philly fans, they call their quarterbacks bums all the time.
Yeah.
When they're not playing good, but they don't mean like they're scum of the earth. It just means that you're not doing a good job.
Right.
And I feel like Aaron Rodgers kind of came from that school with that statement, but a lot of people are like, he's being very mean about this. And it's like, no, it's not that mean of a statement.
No.
But yeah, nice every once in a while to see a quarterback or a player kind of fire back at somebody who feels like they can say whatever the heck they want.
Yeah. Well, that's true.
Every once in a while.
It's true. Okay. So what else are we going to talk about? Let's talk about the Washington football team, which is now the Washington Admirals.
Yeah, I heard that leak by Schefter.
I'm not happy with that name.
Why not?
I don't know why. It doesn't roll off the tongue, I guess. all the options that you had, and you went military, which the Admirals sounds like the Washington Generals, which isn't that the team that the Globetrotters always played, and they beat them
Yeah.
like 700 times. So, I mean, maybe it's appropriate for this team. It's bad, but I don't know. I don't like. I don't know why we had to go. We couldn't go with an animal, I guess.
Yeah.
They could have come up with something a little different, but they went with what you would have expected. Senators, generals, admirals.
Yeah.
I don't know. It leaves me a little flat. Are they going to change the colors?
No, they've already posted like
Yeah.
teaser links to like their things,
Yeah.
and now they're
See?
keeping the same burgundy
Same
and
stuff.
white.
Yeah.
I don't mind the keeping the colors. I think you should. You have 1,000 fans who already have things in
Right.
that color, right? If you wanted
Right.
to change colors, you're asking a lot of people. And let's face it, going from the Redskins, it's nice to go flat. It's
Well,
nice to do something very bland,
guess.
even if it is admirals. It's not offending anybody except for non-naval personnel.
Maybe.
Everyone else.
I don't know. Admirals is a I don't know.
I'm with you. It's not exciting.
But you can see the logo. I mean, you can. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen what their actual logo is going to look like.
They haven't posted it yet
because they haven't. But you can see the logo, and it's going to have stars in it, right? Because admirals have stars, and
well, the back of their collars of their jerseys have stars.
Right.
I know that, but I don't know if the actual logo itself is going to have stars in it.
And like I said, that's what the Washington Generals used to have.
Well, Jonathan Allen said he saw the jerseys and the logo, and he says it looks fantastic.
Well, that's all that matters. Then, and the New York, New Jersey Generals used to be in the USFL. We're going to talk about that in a minute too. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I like it. I don't know. Everyone needs to. You can send us an email, right? lambsports@gmail.com. Send us an email and tell if you like that. Is that a thing? Is it roll? It doesn't roll off the tongue for me, and I would have thought, like the Washington Wizards. That's it's alliterative.
Alliteration's always fun.
Alliteration's great, they could have done something with alliteration. They didn't, but I don't know what the W word is for, what the W mascot is. So I guess. Anyway, I don't know.
Washington. I don't know. What's a? I don't know a lot of W ones, and also I don't know if alliteration is the way to go for them.
It doesn't matter. Does it matter? Well, it should be. Didn't they play at FedEx Field? That's alliterative. Anyway,
Washington Weasels.
The Washington Swamp Rats.
Washington Wildebeest.
The Wildebeest is good. I like that, and I think it's just Wildebeest, isn't it? Or is that like singular, plural? I don't know. We have to look that one up.
Wildebeest?
I don't think it's that, but all right.
When there's multiple,
we can call them whatever we want.
Washington Whale Sharks.
Ooh. I like it. The Walrus.
The Washington Weimaraners.
Everyone loves dogs. That's a good one too. I like that one. We got all kinds of them, man. They could have come to us. We'd have helped them. For a small fee.
Animals that start with W on the internet, and it gave me the Washington Wasp.
The Wasps. I like it. Yellow
Wolverines
and black.
Is there too? Do they have Wolverines in DC?
There's already a Michigan team with that, so I feel like that's not a thing. But
if we're thinking about animals that are in DC, they're probably best with the wolf spiders. Washington wolf spiders.
Wolf spiders.
Why didn't they just go with wolves?
Wolves would have been good too. I mean, they could have, but there aren't any wolves in DC. So there are admirals.
What about my favorite, the Washington Warblers?
The Warblers is not bad. A lot of birds in the NFL already, so
I know,
you'd fit right in.
Start calling the bird cage. It's all the teams.
Not sure that
was a stretch
thing either, but all right. We can.
It could be if we get the Warblers involved.
Warblers, yeah, it's good. All right, let's move forward. How come the men's NCAA basketball coaches poll is sponsored by Ferris Mowers?
Money.
Well, but who's getting that money?
Ferris Mowers.
Well, no. They must have paid to do it. They're not paying Ferris Mowers to be the sponsor. Someone's getting money from Ferris Mowers to be the sponsor, and I feel like that taints the whole poll process, which is tainted anyway.
Who runs the coaches poll? USA Today.
Well, it used to be.
CBS Sports use coaches poll.
I don't know who does it now.
Let's find out.
Because it literally is
USA
listed.
Today.
It's listed as the Ferris Mowers coaches poll. It's not listed as the USA Today coaches poll. So I think USA Today might have been the sponsor at one point in time, and I still think they do one. They do the women's basketball poll. I don't understand, but I don't. That was a journalist publication, and journalists, are typically the ones. The AP poll is all journalists, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I get that association with a publication, but I don't get the association with mowers in basketball.
So it's the Ferris Mowers men's basketball coaches poll powered by USA Today Sports. So USA Today is the one that runs it.
So
Ferris, USA Today is getting that money.
So yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Ferris Mowers is paying USA Today to help be which I don't like it. It kind of cheapens the whole thing. Now, how much money did Ferris Mowers pay coach from North Dakota State to vote a certain way? Because
I don't know.
We don't know that. We don't know that's not a thing. I mean,
but it was already sponsored by USA Today. How much money did USA Today pay a coach to vote for a certain thing?
USA Today probably doesn't have. I mean, I would think they were less likely to have a agenda in terms of who should be number one as a company that's based out of a certain city. You know what I mean? Or has employees or relatives that, go to a certain college, or they all went to a certain college maybe. I don't know. It's weird. I just don't like it. I don't like the sponsoring of it to begin with. USA Today was
it's a weird thing to get hung up on.
I don't know. I've never seen it before, and all of a sudden I saw it in the paper today and I didn't like it.
Do you want to know where they're based out of?
Sure. Where are they based out of?
New South Wales.
New South Wales. Okay, so it's an
St.
Australian.
Clair, New South Wales. It is an Australian company that's infiltrating our American polls.
Yeah. Why?
So do you think the New South Wales, they've got a big interest in?
Well, all the Australian players are playing college basketball. I mean, it just gotten a boost. Their teams.
No, they don't.
I don't know.
Ben Simmons is about the only one that did that.
I don't know.
And he only played for like 2 games.
I don't know. I don't like it. I don't like the sponsorship of the poll. It should be the poll. Why isn't it just the men coaches poll, and we can't just arrange to have a coaches poll? Some company has to be in charge of it.
That's because they aren't like NCAA like sponsored and ran. Like the NCAA puts them on their website, but that's like all they do with them. Like they're fiction until their actual rankings come out.
Yeah, but the basketball, they don't have there's never an actual official ranking. There's just
there's actual ways to lock in your playoff positioning.
There's just a group of people at the end who decide everyone's fate.
But that's what makes it even better. That's what makes it like the fact that Ferris is trying to slap money on it because they really want Auburn to get a better coach's poll position.
I mean, when we were talking, we were talking earlier. Isn't there a better sponsor? Wasn't there somebody else who could have come on and said, "Hey, we want to be the sponsor of college basketball"? Spalding, Nike, anybody.
Well,
but
I think Nike's not allowed to do it, and I bet Spalding's not allowed to do it because the official basketball of college basketball is Wilson.
Well, Wilson, whatever. Then make it Wilson.
But but Wilson's already sponsoring. You don't need them extra. And also, this is not affiliated with the NCAA.
No,
this is affiliated with that runs a poll.
Affiliated with basketball. There's nobody who used a mower on a basketball court ever.
You and I are affiliated with basketball.
Well, no, I mean, I am
as much affiliated with basketball as USA Today's poll is with actual basketball.
And I am just as affiliated with NCAA basketball as Ferris Mowers. Because there's nothing to do with the basketball. They mow grass. You don't mow grass in basketball.
I hear what you're saying.
If they want to be the sponsor of the men's football poll, then that makes sense to me.
Pepsi sponsors the damn Super Bowl, and I guarantee you that all those guys on the field, except for maybe the linemen, haven't drank Pepsi in years.
It's probably true.
Like it's not part of their regiments and things like that. It's just a sponsor.
Well, they might drink.
I think we really need to get one of these Ferris mowers in hand to find out.
We should call them. You're right.
That's really what we're trying to figure out if they're quality or not.
Right, and then take it on the basketball court and see what it does.
See what the zero turn can do on the basketball court.
Right, because that's clearly the link they're trying to get us to: basketball and Ferris mowers.
I said it should be I said originally the floor. What was the floor cleaner called?
You said Pledge.
I said it should be Pledge.
Yeah.
Should be the sponsor. And then I remembered, no, it should be Pine Sol with the Pine Sol lady.
It should just be SC Johnson companies that make all that stuff, right? Swiffer
and
Mr.
Clean could have a good place. It's the backboards with the glass.
Right. I don't know. Mr.
Clean, best glass cleaner in the game?
Yeah. Right? Yeah. I like that. I mean, there could have been a billion things, but we got mowers instead. All right.
Oh my God! All right, hold on. Sorry, I just thought of a commercial idea.
Go.
So Andre Iguodala gets the steal. He's bolting down. It's the finals. He goes to lay it up off the backboard. Boom! Pinned off the backboard. Blocked by Mr. Clean.
Right. He
Something
protects
funny like that. Just superimpose
Pr-
him into like these great
pr-
glass cleaning moments.
protect your glass at home with Mr. Clean.
That's right.
Yeah. Oh, I like it.
Oh, that'd have been great.
Yeah. Okay. I'm in. I'm in. I think we should pitch that and find a way. Anyway, does anybody care about baseball? Right now, right now, not really. But I mean, will we care in April when baseball's supposed to start back up? And the reason I ask is because 42 days it's been since the owners, the Major League Baseball and the MLBPA had meetings. So we took 42 days off, and in the middle we have a lockout. So you can't do anything. And now that we're about week and a half, 2 weeks from pitchers and catchers reporting to spring training, we're going to talk again.
Yeah.
Why couldn't we talk for 42 days? Why couldn't we hash this out before? We had a lot of time. We
need a mandatory rest.
Let's just take a month and a half off and not talk about it. And now we'll just rush to do something in the last 2 weeks.
Sure.
I don't.
Sounds like procrastination.
It sounds like business. I mean, it sounds like big business. That's a corporation.
Even the pros do it
in general. But
I procrastinate, so do they.
I don't know. That whole system needs to be revamped, and baseball is one of those things that I think doesn't need any more negative, publicity or negative light shed on it. That baseball is one of those sports that's losing interest. People are just losing interest in baseball. I don't know if the numbers back that up, but I mean, I used to be a gigantic baseball fan, and I would tell you now that I'd much prefer to watch a football game than a baseball game.
Yeah.
So
I feel like that's true for most people. I mean, it's what's it called? They're saying that through 2019, baseball attendance dropped 7.14%. It's a loss of 5.2 million fans per year.
Yeah.
Like
you can only lose that for so many years.
It's on the way out.
Yeah.
We got to go to Banana Ball. What the Savannah Bananas do? I read it every couple of weeks. I read about it. I'm like, man, it looks like so much fun.
Yeah. Remember when they were the Sand Gnats? When we moved to Savannah, Georgia, we used to live there, and they were the Sand Gnats, and then they became the Cardinals. And I
remember that. That was after you left.
Or maybe they were the Cardinals, and then they became the Sand Gnats, and then they became something else. I don't know. They changed teams names like every year. So, anyway, Sand Gnats was a great name because if you've ever lived in Savannah, Georgia, you know that your ankles just completely covered in bites. By those little freaking. Anyway.
Oh, the South.
Oh, the South. Have you got something you want to talk about? Anything?
Yeah.
What do you got?
Yeah, kind of a cool thing. So, we have our first, what I think is large jump from esports into the sports world. And so this guy, his name is Kim. I think it's Kim. CEM. How would you pronounce that?
Kim or Cem, unless if he's from Eastern Bloc.
He's from Turkey.
Ooh, could be Cem, but it might be Kim. I don't know.
I'm gonna go with Kim. Buluk Bast. I could not find a pronunciation sharp.
Oh, okay. I was just gonna ask that.
I googled a bunch of it. I could not find it.
Right.
Kim Buluk Bast.
Mm-hmm.
But he was a Formula One esports driver,
right?
Who was very, very good, and he just started driving for Formula 2.
Oh, okay.
Apparently, this last season was his first season. Apparently, he did pretty darn well. So the question then becomes, is there room for other esports, not just like Formula One, where they're doing like a driving simulator already, to move from there to move from the digital world into the physical world? Do you think that translates to other sports?
Well,
like shooting games, maybe.
So there's also, I mean, Formula One has an actual Formula E, which is electric.
Right.
Cars. So it sounds weird to say esports, which I get what you're saying, but it's just, to me, when I see the E in front of it, I think electric, but it's all electronic. You know what I mean?
Yeah, their thing is actually called Formula One Esports.
Right, esports is
as
different.
As opposed to
yeah. I don't know. I it's interesting. Can everybody make that jump though? You think anybody could do? I think it would take a special person to be able to
I
drive
think
an
there are
actual
some
car.
sports. Well, so the seats that they do, like I've read all about them because I was actually thinking about ordering like a little setup once, but I'm not gonna do that now. The seats that they use, the steering wheels are manufactured because they're all on sponsored teams.
Hmm.
The steering wheels are the same steering wheels that are in the cars.
Right.
So from a steering wheel standpoint, they're good. The feedback in the steering wheel is all based off of real life simulation. So they're getting real life feedback in the steering wheel and in their seats.
Right.
The only difference is there's no actual threat of danger.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
that's I
Unless you
think
fall
quite.
out of the seat.
I mean, I guess you could fall out the seat and hurt yourself, but you're probably not gonna die.
Yeah.
Although now with the Halo device, no one's really dying. So
Right.
yay. But I think that it might be one of the only sports where you could do this, where you could go from a digital platform there. But that's because what you're doing in the digital space is so close already to the physical one.
Right.
Even like shooting games and things like that, maybe you couldn't go out and be a good, shooter, like skeet shooter or something like that, because you're never actually holding a
It's
firearm. You're just
different.
holding a controller.
Right. But
So I don't know if any of them are like that.
if the controls are going to be the same, then yeah, the only thing you're going to try and get used to is the sensation, the actual
The sensation.
G forces, and you know what I mean. You can't
Yeah.
simulate that in a chair.
They can simulate like vibrations and like
Right.
left and right movement and things like that, but not like actual pressure on your chest.
And it's not the same as driving in the rain at Spa in Belgium.
It's true.
You know what I mean? That's different. That's going to be a different feel because rain actually on your face, on the helmet is different than the simulation.
Speaking of which, they're doing spa. They're doing some adjustments to spa to what's it called? Help with runoff areas.
Well, that'd be good.
They're adding I think 4 or 5 different runoff areas.
It always rains at Spa. So
well,
anyway,
some say it never rains at Spa.
And F1 and F1 has put out their schedule for the year too, and so 23 races this year.
Yeah.
It's gonna be good, including a Miami Grand Prix, which I don't know about. The course looks kind of iffy, but one more in the United States, trying to get more fans. I guess that's a good thing. So, but it looks like it's gonna be interesting. So we'll cover more in another week or two about the new Formula One season because they're gonna start testing here in February. So
yeah,
it's gonna be good. Anyway, okay.
Yeah, that was
That's
my
interesting.
Can more people translate across?
I
just thought it was cool to find somebody who did it finally.
You can't go from basketball playing on your PlayStation to playing basketball.
Yeah, I don't think it worked that well.
No, unless you are, of course, 6'6", and
right,
already have the talent anyway. All right, so I guess a trivia question, right?
Trivia question.
Trivia question. And that's not even a thing. That's still more. All right, trivia. So,
I wrote those down.
The Stave and Stone trivia question. It's the Best Lamb Sports Show trivia question, sponsored by Stave and Stone. I don't know how to phrase it yet. I still haven't figured that out. Brought to you by Stave and Stone Wine Estates in Hood River. The winery at the vineyard is 3827 Fletcher Drive, and downtown is 210 Oak Street. Call 541-946-3750. That's 541-WINE-750 for information or to make a reservation, or you can even order wine, I think, on there. You can actually join their wine club. Anyway, all kinds of things. They have a section for events. You can see it on the website. You can email them, info@staveandstone.com for more information. That's Stave and Stone, Wines with Personality, the sponsor of the Best Lamb Sports Show trivia question, which was, do you remember?
Yes, 5 coaches have been fired and then won a Super Bowl with another team.
Right. And then 5 coaches that have been fired and then eventually went on to win a Super Bowl. Yeah. So I want you to name 4 of them. Can you name 4 of them?
I think I can name 3.
Okay, give me 3.
And that's because 2 of them are tied together, and then one of them I know.
Okay.
So Gary Kubiak is one.
No.
Gary Kubiak was fired from the Texans and then went with the Broncos.
But he wasn't the head coach.
I thought he was the head coach of the Texans.
Well, he was, but he wasn't the head coach of the Broncos. He didn't win a
wasn't?
Super Bowl with the Broncos as head coach.
I thought he was the head coach of the Broncos when they won in 2015.
No.
Oh, I must be thinking the wrong person.
Yep.
John Gruden is one of them.
John Gruden is one of them. You're right.
And Tony Dungy is one of them because he was right before John Gruden.
And Tony Dungy is one of them. That's correct.
So those were the 2 that were connected, and I thought Gary Kubiak was the other one, but
close. Not really.
But then I don't know the other ones.
Okay. So the other ones are Andy Reid, Bill Belichick,
and
Pete Carroll. So all
Oh.
have been fired. Pete Carroll got fired by the Jets and the Patriots. Andy Reid got fired by the Eagles. Bill Belichick got fired by the Browns. I think, and the Jets. Anyway, before they landed in the right spot and won a Super Bowl as head coach. So there you go. Those 5. Yeah.
Those 5.
Yeah. John Gruden is one of them.
Interesting.
He's been on here twice today. Once for being a Super Bowl winning head coach and once for getting fired. The John
Now,
Gruden show.
hold on here.
Yeah, go.
I'm fact checking you now.
Go.
Gary Kubiak was the head coach of the Texans from 2006 2013.
Okay.
And then he was the head coach of the Broncos for 15-16, is
Okay.
what it says.
Okay.
And they won the Super Bowl in 15-16.
They won the 2016 Super Bowl?
They won the 2015-16 Super Bowl. So Super Bowl 50 is the one that he won with the Broncos.
That's not listed.
On January 18th of 2015, Kubiak signed a 4-year deal to become the head coach of the Broncos. They dismissed John Fox after 2 playoff eliminations, and then they went on to win the Super Bowl that year.
Okay. So there's 6.
So there's 6, and I did get it right.
Well, you got 3. You didn't get 4 of them.
I got 3. I got that one right is what I meant.
Oh, okay. All right. That's not listed
But
on
Andy
the
Reid,
list.
I feel like should have been an obvious one.
Yeah, for sure. I
Dang.
think Bill Belichick should have been an obvious one too. And I knew Pete Carroll was the coach of many NFL teams. He was coach of the Jets and the Patriots before he went to go coach at USC.
Dang, that makes sense.
A long time ago. So he doesn't look that old, but the man is 70 something. So
Good looking for 70.
yeah, he actually is. Yeah, he's doing all right. He's all that walking. You can watch him in a game. He walks up and down the sideline like 100 times. Anyway, that's all we have for today. Next week, everyone should show up and listen. Hey, there's our other audio out, which isn't long enough. I have to restart it. But there's next week, airing on Wednesday the 19th, NFL playoff coverage. We're going to talk about the NHL and the NBA a bit more. We're also going to call a insurance expert and ask about the State Farm insurance commercials with Aaron Rodgers and Pat Mahomes, and we're going to see if they actually spent how much of your premium goes to pay those guys' salaries for the commercials, because we talked about it last week.
Smart.
So yeah, we're gonna have an insurance expert. Anyway, we're live streaming. We're not live streaming anymore. We're recorded, but we're streaming on YouTube every week. We're on Twitter at Lamb Sports. We're on Facebook under the Best Lamb Sports Show. You can email us lambsports@gmail.com. I want to thank ESPN, NFL, the NBA, MLS. We didn't talk about MLS. We didn't talk about any of those things anymore. Actually, ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox. Our sponsors, The Range in Yakima, Boss Kitty Yarns at Davidson Wine Estates in the River. This has been a Brain Rock production, a division of Lonely Tree Media. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.